The LTFRB recently announced a provisional rollback on taxi flag down rate, which has been met with resistance by the Philippine National Taxi Operator Association, or PNTOA. For more insights into the issue, we have invited to today's Motoring Forum, Councilor Bong Suntay, President of PNTOA. Welcome to Motoring Today, Councilor Bong.
Hey, good afternoon at maraming salamat sa invitasyon na nabigay sa akin to be in this show. Butch, good afternoon.
It has been reported that the PNTOA, of which you are the president, has decried the reduced flag down rate imposed by the LTFRB. Can you please briefly explain the rationale behind this opposition?
Yes. Well, the PNTOA, the Philippine National Taxi Operators Association, filed an opposition with regards to the provisional flag down rate that LTFRB has issued. This is for the reason that we believe that the ruling had no basis at all. Now, if we consider, we have to go to the facts behind such decision, and which should bring us back to 2010. So, way back 2010, the Land Transportation and Franchising Board granted a fare increase which the taxi operators filed. Now, this fare increase that was filed way back in 2010 was based on the following reasons. First, fuel price increased from 26 pesos way back in 2004 to 42 pesos during the time that we filed the petition. The cost of living also increased from 2004 to 2010. Cost of spare parts also increased from 2004 to 2010. And inflation was on the rise. Now, we say that the decision, the 2015 for fare reduction, had no basis simply because it was only the fare petition for reduction was based solely on the premise that prices of fuel was going down. But you have to consider, during the time that they issued the decision for provisional reduction, the price of fuel, mainly gasoline, was between 42 to 43 pesos, which is exactly within the range of the fuel price way back in 2010 when we were granted a fare increase. So while it is true that prices of fuel came down from a high of 57 pesos to the current rate of around 43 pesos per liter, the basis for such a decision cannot be the maximum price of fuel. Because, as I mentioned, way back in 2010, when the price of fuel was 42, we were granted the fare increase. So why reduce the fare now when it's exactly at the same level during the time that we were granted the fare increase? So there was really no basis for it.
Bong, it has also been reported that one of the main considerations of the LTFRB's decision for the rollback is a continuing decline in fuel prices. Add to this the full cooperation of the other public transport groups to bring down their fares. What can you say to this?
Well, it's true. The only consideration that LTFRB used in coming out with a provisional fare reduction was the cost of fuel. As I mentioned earlier, it's wrong. Because if you view all the decisions made by the LTFRB pertaining to meter rates, lagi yan, apat yung nagiging basihan yan. Cost of living, cost of spare parts, inflation, and cost of fuel. Lahat yan, whenever they grant us a fare increase, apat lagi yung basihan. In fact, way back in 2012, we filed the petition for fare increase. Dahil the price of fuel kept on going up, so noong 2012, we filed the petition for fare increase based on the increasing price of oil. Now, our petition for fare increase was denied. Ang sabi ng LTFRB, masyado raw volatile ang presyo ng gasolina. It goes up, but it also comes down. So it cannot be used as a sole basis for granting a fare increase. So but ngayon naman, biglang naglabas ng fare reduction based solely on the premise that oil price was coming down. Pero you have to consider, sabi ko nga, nung 2010, ang presyo ng gasolina was 42 pesos. Then it went to a high of 57. During which time, ina-absorb ng drivers yan. Yung higher cost of fuel was being absorbed by the drivers. Tinitiis nila. Now, all of a sudden, dahil from 57, bumaba ng 42, sasabihin, oh, malaki yung binaba. Bawasan natin yung presyo. Ang tanong ko, nung 57 ba, nagdagdag ba sila ng pasahe?
Tell us, in what way do you think your Association of Taxi Operators can show to the riding public its appreciation of the decline in fuel prices?
So in actuality, talagang ngayon lang nakakabawi yung driver. Kasi we have to consider during the time na pataas, when fuel prices went above 42 pesos, medyo nabawasan yung kita ng driver at talagang nahirapan sila. It could, this could be one of the reasons kung bakit nagkaroon ng mga incidents ng mga drivers which tampered yung meter or refused to convey passengers or nangongontrata because they were trying to compensate for yung loss of income. But now, dahil bumaba na ulit sa 42, then I am very sure na yung mami-minimize yung mga incidents na gano'n, yung mga tampering meter. And in fact, yun ang sinasabi namin lagi sa driver, that it's illegal to tamper the meter, that it's illegal na mangontrata, that it's illegal na mamili ng pasahero. And that sana, now, dahil bumaba yung presyo ng cost ng fuel, which brought it back to the 2010 level, we hope na bumalik na yung sufficiently, medyo nakabawi na sila, yung medyo gumaan na ulit yung kita nila. So we hope that this translates to better service for the passengers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Councilor, for joining us on Motoring Today. Before we let you go, any message to the riding public relevant to your opposition to the rollback on the taxi flag down rate?
Well, to the riding public, the Philippine National Taxi Operators Association would really continues to strive hard to provide you with better taxi services. Now, yung members namin sa Philippine National Taxi Operators Association is composed of the big fleet operators. And as much as possible, between our member group, talagang sinasala namin the type of drivers that we have to ensure that we have quality drivers. Even the vehicles that we use. If you look at the taxis that we're operating, yung members ko, Basic Taxi, RNE, MG, Dollar, World, and LBR and the others, makikita mo that most of our taxis are new. Dahil that's what yun yung commitment namin sa riding public, to be able to provide quality cars with decent and knowledgeable drivers. So we hope that the public understands yung why we filed opposition. Hindi naman talaga, ang PNTOA naman is usually very silent pagdating sa mga bagay na ganito. In fact, as long as possible, we tried not to file a petition for fare increase even during the time na yung price o yung cost ng fuel continued to go up. Hindi kami nag-file ng petition for fare increase. We tried to absorb it, and our drivers tried to absorb it as long as they can. Pero ngayon, nag-file kami ng opposition doon sa provisional reduction because clearly wala talagang basis. As I mentioned, if we look at the facts, if we look at the data, yung ginamit na rason for the provisional fare reduction clearly has no shouldn't have been used as a basis. Kasi pagka ang gagamitin lang na rason is tumaas at 57, ngayon 42 na, so meron kang 15 pesos saving. That's completely wrong. Dapat ang isipin natin, noong 2004, the price of fuel was 26, umakyat ito to 42 pesos noong 2010, and because of this increase, we were granted, our petition for fare increase was granted. So, now that the cost of fuel is exactly at the same level, then there is clearly no reason to to issue a fare reduction. We hope that the general public, our riding public, understands this. And the problems of the drivers are compounded by the worsening traffic condition in Metro Manila. So the number of passengers that the drivers are able to ferry has been drastically reduced. And yung slight dip ng price of fuel has extended some relief to our drivers. So we hope the riding public understand we're not doing this. We didn't file the opposition to make more money, but because there is reason to it.
Thank you, Councilor Bong.
Thank you very much.
Councilor Bong Suntay, President of PNTOA, our guest this week on Motoring Today's Motoring Forum.